r/no sleep. Posted by Reddit user olrustyeye. My uncle worked at an insane asylum from 1963 to 1982. Part 3. Story 5. C-section. I've told you a lot about men in my stories. I'll tell you a story about a woman. I'm not sure what she had for an issue, but this event scared me. I was leaving for the day when I heard a huge commotion. There are times when you know it's just someone having an outburst, and there are other times when you know there's something seriously wrong. I rushed over to see what it was. A woman screaming in the corner, surrounded by 10 people. Some nurses, some doctors. All of them keeping their distance because the woman had a knife. Get back! Get back from my baby! She held the knife in her hand, pointing it all around her. Her voice sounded deep, like a man. Oh God, it's coming! Get a nurse! The knife went down, and she put her hand on her stomach. This time, the voice was almost sweet. The nurses tried closing in, but the man's voice came back and the knife went back up. You motherfuckers come any closer, and I will gut all of you. The sweet voice came back. It won't come out. It won't come out. I need help. The knife turned to her stomach, and when she slid it in, moving it in a horizontal line, she bled through her dress immediately. For a few seconds she screamed and began pulling her intestines out. Then she yelled, Where's my baby? A scream like I'd never heard came out of her, and then she passed out, slamming her head hard on the floor, making a big thunk. I had seen a lot by this time in 1979, but this gripped my stomach like a vice. I ran to a nearby trash can we kept in the halls and threw up. The nurses and doctor got a gurney and put her on it, rushing her away. One doctor passed by me and asked if I was alright. I shook my head no. What the fuck was that? I said, tears coming down my eyes. I'm not sure if it was from the vomiting or from what I had just saw. The doctor looked down at his own hands. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm okay either. I wasn't sure why he was looking at his hands. What did you do? I thought maybe it was the guilt that caused him to look down. I don't know why he told me, but he did. LSD. I thought if she saw the people in her visions, she could fight them away. I thought it was subconscious, that she could be cured. Oh God, what have I done? I wasn't sure what to do at this point, so I walked away. I think oftentimes these doctors don't know what it is to be out of their office. They do treatments but never really see the results as they happen. I'm not sure what happened to the girl. She wasn't in my class, and I wasn't about to go find out either. The doctor, though, went home, and that week, he hung himself. I'm not sure if he had other things tormenting him in his life. Maybe nothing he did was working and he finally felt the pressure of failure. Nothing was more telling than watching the woman gut herself alive, and it was all because of you. But I began to wonder how she got the knife. I knew there was more to the story, but I couldn't investigate as days had gone by. I needed to be on my best behavior. I attended the doctor's service. The priest reminded us that mental illness affects everyone, not just those who are in hospital, but those who are helping others in the hospital. I wanted to get up and preach from the pulpit about what was really going on, how the doctor wasn't treating the girl, how he thought LSD was going to cure someone. I shook my head, biting my tongue. Who gives LSD to a mental patient? I kept having nightmares of the girl, cutting herself open, pulling it out. It was a reoccurring dream that I couldn't get out of my mind. I had to visit the pastor. I had to have him pray for me 5 times before I finally got it out of my mind. I just don't understand what the doctor was thinking. After that day, I began hating that place. Not the patients, but being there. The head doctor, who had been my friend in college and was how I got the job, was going to be leaving. My head was on a chopping block as far as the job was concerned, and I couldn't just intervene for patients anymore. I wanted out, but I wasn't sure where I would go. I had been there over 15 years. Where could I go? I wasn't ready to retire. I knew it was useless trying to quit, so I stuck with it. At least for another few years. Story 6. The spirits don't leave. This one's a little different, but I swear to you it's true. One night, June 29th, 1967, I decided to work a little late in the kitchen cleaning up some of the hard-to-reach areas, just extra stuff. I wanted to start saving for Christmas, and I figured a little overtime would be a good way to get it done. I swear this happened. I began seeing things, hearing footsteps, and even whispers. I thought nothing of it. It was a large room, so I figured noises reverberate, and who knows what might bleed through the walls. What really tipped me off something weird was happening was when I heard the sink dripping. I thought that was odd, so I walked to it to see if the gasket needed replacing. When I got there, I noticed there was no dripping, and the sound stopped. My blood went cold at that point. My heart rate went straight up, and I started freaking out a bit. I heard a whisper, then a giggle. "Hello?" I shouted. Maybe one of the patients got out of the room, I thought at first. I started to look around. I heard a giggle under the table. I swallowed hard, terrified to look under the table. I wasn't sure what I would find. How would someone get out of the room this late at night without someone noticing by now? I closed my eyes and began to slowly squat down on the ground. I opened my eyes and saw what looked like a 12-year-old little girl with sunken-in eyes. She was in a dress. Her face was severely burned. I fell back and screamed. When I looked again, she was gone. I figured she had run off, and I ran to the phone and picked it up to no tone. Then, the pots and pans started to rattle, at first quietly, then loudly. I covered my ears tightly and tried to think of what to do. I had to leave. I just had to. But first, I needed to make sure that everything was locked, but I couldn't. I grabbed my keys and ran out, running to the nearest nurse. "There's a girl in the kitchen," I screamed, frightened. She ran with me back to the room. We opened the door to silence. We searched and couldn't find her. Then the nurse looked at me and got pale. "What?" I said, getting unnerved by her look. "You saw Katrina." I looked around the room, still unsure of what was going on. Who the hell's Katrina? Back in 1929, this kitchen was the morgue. Katrina was a girl that we're told was burned in the incinerator alive. She was playing dead, and the nurses believed her, and so they placed her in the incinerator. She thought it was a great game until they started to burn her alive. She screamed so loudly, but there was nothing they could do. My mouth went dry. I started feeling sick. Her face, I gasped, touching my own. How could that be true? How could they not know she was dead? That's not true. Didn't they check her vitals? The nurse sat on one of the chairs and then laughed. It's just a ghost story, Bill, but I've seen her too. She sighed. Something happened to that little girl. I don't believe they just tossed her in the oven and closed the door, but something happened. I began closing everything up and locking it. Then the nurse and I left the hall. I said goodnight and left. Something terrified me all the way home. I couldn't stop looking in my back seat. I felt like she was somehow watching, somehow there. That night I dreamed of her. It was a room full of fire. She was standing there, walking through it all. They didn't think I was dead, Bill. She chuckled. They just wanted to get rid of me. She giggled loudly. I saw a door open, fire burning bright. I saw the little girl Katrina being held by several doctors as they tossed her in the fire. She screamed, trying to fight them. I started crying and tried to help her, but my hands went through her body. After she stopped screaming, I heard from behind. Why, you ask? I turned around to see her ghost again. The doctors like to toy with me, and I turned out to be pregnant. There's only one thing to do then. Kill. I started feeling like I was burning, my whole body feeling hot and sweaty. I saw myself in fire, but then woke up. I was sweaty, and my stomach was in knots. Your aunt had shaken me awake, telling me I was tossing and turning, saying Katrina over and over. I told her what had happened, and got something to drink. I wasn't sure what to do. I went back to sleep and never had that dream again or saw Katrina. I wondered if she just needed someone to listen to her. Maybe it might be crazy, but I think that she was real, and her story was real. I talked with the head doctor, my friend, about what it was like before I came on. He mentioned it was like it had always been. Since he was only there for 3 years before me, I don't know if he knew any of the rumors to be true. I'm telling you, Vincent, call me crazy, but I believe Katrina. I could never confirm it, but I feel it in my bones.